Yo. So I'm gonna be messing around with this thing a bit, but right now I'm just kind of like tweeting about shit and getting things set up. Playing some things, cause I like this. And I actually don't know how to do a live stream, so yeah, good stuff. Yeah, I talk, Jonathan, sometimes. If you can't hear me over the Digitakt, let me know. I can turn something down. You can hear me perfectly? That's awesome. That's good to know. Did the sounds come with the Digitakt or did you sample them? That's a really good question, and that's kind of what I want to do today with this thing. These sounds are all from... Hey, Happy New Year, Mr. Noir et Blanc V. Almost New Year. A woo. A woo. I wonder how much Digitakt I'm actually going to get doing as opposed to just talking to everyone. Okay, one question at a time. How much does the Digitakt cost? I think it retails for like $6.99. How can we tell if it's recording? Oh God, this is going to be a goddamn disaster, isn't it? Okay. The question was, how much does it cost? I think like $700 or something. Hi from Germany. Hello. But the first question was, were these sounds from the Digitakt, or did I sample them? The Digitakt has a gigantic sample library that comes with it, including a bunch of single cycle waveforms, and that's kind of what I've been focusing on lately with the thing. So we can talk about single cycle waveforms and why they're cool and why they're really important to have on the Digitakt. So yeah, all the sounds here are from the Digitakt itself. They came with it. It's factory stuff. I've got a couple other patterns I've been playing with on this that are all from single cycle waveforms as well. I was just trying to test how much I could do with single cycle waveforms. Flex the butt, juice the fruit. Oh God, people from the Discord are here. Someone says that there's a slow chat mode. Let me see if I can. I have it on, kind of. Limit chat posts to 1 second per person's. What if we make it 5? Will that make it easier to talk? I don't know. Maybe. There is a Discord. I'll post the Discord link in a bit. We've been opening it up here and there on my Twitter account, like once a week or something like that, because it's a lot to communicate with while I'm at work, so I don't want to like overwhelm myself. But if you're following me on the Twitter, then keep an eye out for that. It pops up now and then. Yes, you do need a Digitakt. You need another synth. It's a sampler box, not a synth box. It's different. You need it. Get it. Okay, I'm sorry that you don't use Twitter. Okay, anyways. I'm going to start talking about the Digitakt because that's kind of why we're here, right? We're here for dogs as well, but not right now. We're here for the Digitakt. Okay, so, yeah, do you guys know what this is? Like, should I tell you what this thing is? I'm a noob. Should I get an OP1? Yes. Just go buy like 5 of them. You'll be able to make amazing music. Yes, I'm going to try to make some music if I can get away from the chat. Okay, so what this is it's a sampler drum machine sequencer thing. And there's 8 channels of samples. They're monophonic, meaning you can only play one at a time. And then there's 8 channels of MIDI sequencing down here. And then it's got a sequencer, so you can like put in step records or play things live and do a thing. And you can put your own samples into it. You can sample into it live, and it comes with a big factory library of samples as well. So if we go, I guess, okay, so back to the beginning thing again. This is great so far. I'm doing really good. I wanted to talk about single cycle waveform because there's a whole bunch of them on the Digitakt, and they're actually really, really useful for like making synth sounds, kind of. So to load up a sample, I'm gonna start going through some single cycle waveforms, and what they are these little tiny pieces of waves, like little tiny pieces, and they don't sound like anything when you just listen to them, but if you loop them, you start to get actual like synth tones out of them. So let's see if I can remember how to get to anything. So I'm going to go through some of these samples here. And that's what a single cycle waveform sounds like when it's not looped. That's really exciting, right? All right, so what if we loop it, though? What if we make it loop? Now it sounds like that. Not looped. Yes, it sounds like a click, correct, because it's just tiny piece of wave. And actually, if I hit source again, you can see that, that's the waveform right there. It's not really showing up super great on the webcam, but like, it's a tiny waveform. Like, and it's only when you loop it that it starts making sounds. So that's pretty cool. And there's a ton of these on the Digitakt. And they all have kind of like different tonal qualities. So you can do lots of sounds with them. It's pretty neat. Hi Hawaii. I wish I was in Hawaii. Do they all come upside down? Yes. Sorry. I'm like I said, I'm pretty new to the live stream thing, so my setup is not really that great. I hope that I'll be able to set that up better at my new house, which we're moving into soon. Okay, so that's a single cycle waveform. I'm going to pick some single cycle waveforms and just start messing around with them. The other thing that you can do with these, which is kind of cool, is you can actually make drum sounds out of them. Like I was messing around with that earlier. So it's obvious you can get a synth sound out of it. I mean, that's kind of cool. Like if I was just messing around on my own, I'd probably record that. So now that you have that synth sound, you can treat it with all of the Digitakts like envelopes and effects. Is music making my full-time job, or do I have a job? I have a job. It's really stressful, actually. I work for a small video production company in Bellevue. We do corporate video, and it's stressful. Like lots of deadlines, lots of clients breathing down your neck. I'd love to be able to make music full time, but I can't. It doesn't pay the bills. OP1 or this? Why is it so expensive? I get that question all the time about everything I put on video. I don't know why they're so expensive, because they're luxury devices. Because synthesizers aren't things that are meant to be just all over the place all the time, I guess. I don't know. Sounds like an interesting job. It's okay. I mean, I like making video. Is the OP1 a good investment for somebody? Hey, Accurate, dude, what's going on? Hi. I'm glad that you're glad I'm doing a live stream. It's really bad so far, though. I'm kind of just mumbling and playing single cycle waveforms. OP1 or food? God damn it. I don't know. Sometimes it's food. Sometimes it's the OP1. Anyways, I'm going to erase this pattern because I don't really feel like making house music right now. All right. I wonder if I can get some inspiration here. Thank God you deleted that pattern. Corgi? I don't know if corgi's a genre of music. Can it do vibrato? That's actually a really good question. That's something I can handle. So, do you all know what an LFO is? An LFO is a low-frequency oscillator. It's used to modulate other parameters, and the Digitakt has an LFO built into it for each channel. Only one, unfortunately. The Octatrack, which is the big brother for this guy, has, I think, 3 LFOs per channel, and that's really, really useful. But the one LFO on this does give you the option for like modulating tons and tons of stuff. And actually, there's a couple really cool things with the single cycle waveform specifically that are fun to do. But the original question was, can it do vibrato? So yeah, I mean, if you go to sample tune as your modulation destination, let me turn down some of this delay and make our amp a little bit. Okay, cool. So I'm going to probably burp here soon, just warning you. Okay, so I'm turning up the LFO on the sample tune destination there. And it sounds pretty crazy, but you can hear it sweeping the tune up and down. I can change the speed of this. So vibrato is basically a modulation of pitch. So we're going to turn, but it's really, really small. So I'm going to turn this way far down. And that's what I would call vibrato. So yeah, it does vibrato. Do you have any other chill questions that I can easily answer? Because otherwise I'm just flailing here. One of the things I also like to do with the LFO on this is change the sample destination. So like you can actually like modulate all the samples that you've loaded into the project. You can take the LFO and make it jump between samples, which is really cool with single cycle waveforms. I'm going to turn this down for right now while I get this set up and just record a quick pattern in here. Something like that. Don't worry, we're not really doing something that's supposed to sound musical right now. But I'm gonna... Alright, so I just turned up the LFO, modulating the sample destination on this thing. Where's Octocat? I can bring Octocat over here. 1 second. Let's see. Where's a good place for Octocat? No. No. How about... There you go. There's Octocat. The real star has arrived. Yeah, we all know it. Anyways, I really love this sound. Like, so it's switching between all of the samples I have loaded. And you could do this with any samples. If you had like a bunch of cats sounds in here, it would swing between all of them. And you can change the speed and the depth so it goes through more of the samples or less samples. And it's kind of a cool sample and hold sound, like if you were going modulating between a bunch of different waveforms on your synth, if you had that. Is it possible to make an effect resembling a modulation wheel with an LFO? Well, like a mod wheel can be assigned to anything, so it's kind of a weird question. I mean, the LFO has so many destinations that it modulate, like all of the filter parameters, a bunch of stuff with the samples. The only thing it can't modulate, unfortunately, is like the sends to the reverb and delay. I really wish... Oh, wait, no, it can. Right here. Never mind. That's pretty dope, actually. I wish it could modulate the time of the delay. Because then you could get some cool, like, effects like that. Can I flip the camera output 1080? You know what? I think I can. Hold on. I'm sorry about that. Is that okay? Is that better? Now I feel like people are going to complain that they feel like they're falling over. I've gotten that before. But can you make music with it? No. No, you can't. That's actually impossible. Have I ever used a SEM V2? You mean the Arturia thing? I don't know. Anyways, is this better for everybody, this flipped thing? Let me know. You feel like you're upside down? Could you set the camera above it? I don't know. I can't make webcams float in the air. So yeah, sorry. This is about as good as I can do right now. When is the bass going to drop? Yes, I know Bo Beats. Drums. Does it do drums? Drums, question mark? Yeah, okay. So anyways, let's go ahead and clear this. I was focusing on single cycle waveforms. That was the whole point here. But if y'all want drums, we can do some drums. Let's see. actually gonna load a different project. Triplets. Yeah, you could do triplets. Probably. I don't know. Never really tried. All right. You know what? I'm just going to load a brand new project because there's too much here. There's too much stuff already in this one. How do the buttons and knobs feel? I love the buttons. I don't know if you can hear it, but they're like really, really nice and clicky. Like they feel really good. They're fun to play. They punch really nice. The encoders, these guys, the knobs, I did not like them when I first got it at all. Like I was like, what the hell did I just buy? Because it was really strange and they didn't feel good. But I've gotten used to them, and there was an update to the firmware that made them a little bit better. Did Santa give me this? No, I've had it for a while. Do the buttons feel like a mechanical keyboard? Yeah, they kind of do. They kind of do. Has it got a fast workflow? Yes, once you get used to it. It took me about a week, and I was pretty much just going. And now when I sit down on it, I don't really have any issues with playing it. All right. My main music making setup is usually Ableton with maybe a couple other synths. I don't know. Okay, so let's bring this tempo down and see maybe if we can do some like sort of synth wave. I need something to focus on here because I'm just kind of flailing around. About 88, I don't know. So this is the step sequencer mode. You can see that it's hitting the steps that I put in, and you can just put in a shit ton of steps if you want. I don't want to. Even though it only has 8 tracks, you can use as many samples on each track as you want. So for instance, like if I wanted to put an offbeat hi-hat on these things, I could. I just have to like basically lock the Digitakt's sample to that on there. So like I have a hi-hat, I'm holding down the trigger here and I'm moving to the hi-hat sample here, and now I have offbeat hi-hats on my kick drum thing. Why am I doing a Digitakt live stream? Because I wanted to. I don't know. My partner is off looking at maybe buying a car, and I was like, I got nothing to do. Maybe I should do this. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, so whatever. All right, so I got an offbeat hi-hat and a kick drum on that. I want a snare, and I kind of like that snare because we're kind of going for synth waves, so whatever. I'm just waiting for someone to complain that we're making a 4 on the floor track because everybody likes to. Okay, cool. So I'm going to use track 3 for bass, I think. Do a vaporwave track. Do you guys realize that I get this question a lot? Like, make vaporwave. Vaporwave is basically just slowed down, like, mall music tracks from the 1960s. Like, vaporwave isn't really a thing. It's like it's kind of a joke. So no, I'm not gonna make vaporwave. Are there more things like the OP1? The Electribes, the circuit. I don't know. There's a couple things, but there's nothing really like the OP1, which is kind of problematic because people really want to get it, but it's too expensive for most people, and then they want something else. So I don't know. Sorry. It's nothing really quite like the OP1. The OPZ from Teenage Engineering might be coming out soon. Maybe. I don't know. They've kind of like moved release around a whole bunch. So that might be a cool alternative, and they say it's going to be cheaper. Has Teenage Engineering ever contacted me? They have. We've talked a little bit. They are appreciative of what I have done with the OP1. Alright, we're going to try this for a bass, and then we might change the waveform later. So when I think of synthwave, or like retro wave or whatever you want to call it. Like I think of like those big arpeggiated bass lines from like Knight Rider and shit like that back in the day. What would you say your biggest disappointment with the firmware of the Digitakt? I mean, people claim that it's still buggy. I don't know. I haven't really had that much of an issue, but I haven't used it to like sequence a bunch of MIDI gear, and that seems to be where a lot of the bugs that people are talking about. My one big disappointment, I will say, is that they haven't released Overbridge for it yet, and that's kind of a big deal in terms of like getting samples and patterns and stuff like that integrated with your DAW. So I'm waiting with bated breath for that. What do I feel like the biggest impediment to creativity is? Fuck, man. I don't know. Time? Life? Life seems to get in the way quite a bit. I don't really like that for a bass line. We need something with a little bit more top end to it. But I am going to lay this down so I have something to like mess with here. Hold on a second. Why the hell did I not record? What the fuck? That was weird. Oh, never mind. I know what's going on. I had the track muted. So if you hit function, everything turns green, and you can see which tracks are enabled and muted. And track 3, the track that I just recorded on, is muted. So we're going to unmute that. When you record into the Digitakt like I just did, when you play on the keyboard, it comes through unquantized, which means you can actually like have a loose feel. You can play things off the beat and stuff like that if you want. And then you can quantize it afterwards, which is what we're going to do because synthwave is pretty rigid, actually. Okay, so I'm going to pick a different sound for this now because I don't feel like it's quite what I want. Oh, that's actually not bad. Are you making the DuckTales theme? Yes. Yes, I am. All right, so now I'm just messing around with some effects. So yeah, it's not bad. We got a kick and snare and a hi-hat, and we got not a bad bass line just for knocking it out. What else is in synthwave and retrowave? Can you record vocals with it? Does it run on batteries? You can record vocals into it as small samples. It does not run on batteries, unfortunately. I wish it did. That'd be pretty cool. What's 4 on the floor? 4 on the floor is when you have like a kick drum on every 1, 2, 3, and 4, every downbeat. It's like the hallmark of almost like all EDM, I guess, house music, shit like that. Can you please play something Blade Runner-esque? I'd like to actually do a live stream on drones and stuff like that. I don't think I'll be able to do that today. It's not really set up to do that. Yeah, I don't think I can today. Sorry. But we want to continue with this. So let's see. I think we need another like arpeggiated line on top of that, like to kind of go with the bass line. So we're going to load up another single cycle waveform on track 4 here. I don't really have anything loaded into this project, so I'm just kind of like messing around. A woo, Toast Delicious. A woo. I don't know what the max individual sample recording length is, unfortunately, off the top of my head. Sorry. Breakbeats are usually not 4 on the floor. No. Breakbeats are a broken beat as opposed to a 4 on the floor beat. Have you ever thought of DJing? Yeah, man. I did it for like a long time and then I stopped because it was exhausting. So, no, I don't want to do that anymore. Sounds like shit. I'm not in love with that waveform, I'll tell you that. I don't really feel inspired by it. Maybe? Maybe? I would mind getting back into DJing, but man, I don't even know what I would play anymore. Like, there's so much new music, I haven't been keeping up. I'm not getting it to make chords. What you're hearing is the delay, which is an echo effect. You're hearing it double up on itself. So that's what's going on there. And depending on how you're playing your part and how the way the delay works, you can actually like, let's see. So you can actually have it double up in a way that actually kind of does make a chord. If you wanted to. So that's kind of cool. Delay's fun to play with in terms of rhythmic stuff and pitch. You can really mess around with it quite a bit. I want a bigger reverb because we're going to need it. So I'm turning up this reverb here. This a little bit because it sounds nice. There is a question about whether or not I'm like running this directly into a DAW without any processing. Yeah, for the first time. Usually I process the heck out of the Digitakt with Ozone. I master it. But yeah, this is straight Digitakt, which is kind of cool. And yes, I agree. Most synths do need built-in reverbs. I'll put reverb on everything. All right. Let's see, what else do we want here? Maybe a little reverb on this. Yeah. Okay, cool. So next thing I want to do is give ourselves like a little bit of 16th note percussion. You have an Akai APC Key 25 and I want to know how you can make a track without a laptop. You can't because the APC Key 25 is just a MIDI controller, so you're going to need a laptop or something like that. Are the lights on the numbers showing notes in a key? Yes. Right now, I mean, in chromatic mode, yeah. So if I go to, let's see, this was a, so yeah. Yeah, we have a thing there, and you can change the octave up and down here, which is nice. All right, but we were going to put in like a shaker or something, so let's do that. Oops. All right. So I just put something on every single step in 16th note pattern because that's what we want. So I'm going to pick a sample that's not going to like break our ears when I play it. How about maybe this thing? I don't know. This might be a shaker. Let's turn it down and find out. It's a tambourine. That's not bad. So it's probably at this point, now that I had like a groove going, that I would probably just spend a whole bunch of time like soloing on it with some wonky sound with another single cycle waveform, since all we have here. The Digitakt is, so like each one of these things is a bank. You can have 16 banks, and each bank has 16 patterns per like project, which is a lot. And it's like 16 times 16 is like 256 things that you can choose from. And each pattern has the ability of being up to 4 measures, which you can hear. It's like, there's measure 1, there's measure 2, there's measure 3, and there's measure 4. And then it repeats. So that's a pretty good like phrase, like a musical phrase, to say something, but it can get repetitive, and you know, it might get repetitive as we work on it now. We can copy that pattern and make a variation later though, and that's kind of what I've been doing with the Digitakt, is like, you know, start with a single pattern that kind of defines what I want to do, and then copy it and make adjustments to it as we go on. A brisker decay might be nice on that shake. I can't, there's only one delay and one reverb in here. So I can't really put a special delay on the tambourine. Sorry. Anyways, I was trying to find something to solo with. Maybe. I don't know. How do you get the delay to match the BPM? So it's a little weird in the Digitakt, in that usually when you have a tempo sync delay, or a delay that has the ability to tempo sync, it will show you like the division of notes that you're selecting. So like 3/16 notes is a pretty classic delay pattern, or eighth or dotted eighth or whatever. But like with the Digitakt, it actually is just numbers, and you have to do math to figure out like what you're looking for. So right now it's on 24. And by holding down the encoder here, I get even numbers that I can move around with. But like, yeah, you kind of have to do math in your head, which is a little annoying. I wish it actually said like the time division of the tempo that you were looking at. What else are we going to do with this? I want a really big clap on parts of it. So we're running out of channels here. We've used almost all of them. So we have these two at the end here. Seems kind of dumb to waste one on a giant clap, but what are you going to do? How many effects can you put on a single channel? There, you can send to the reverb and delay on every single channel, and you can use each channel's overdrive, filter, or bit crusher effect. That's pretty much it. There's no extra like crazy effects on it. Okay. I don't like the way that sounds. It doesn't last long enough. What do you hope for your channel in 2018? Man, I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I have no idea. Honestly, kind of burnt out. Oh, that's really good too. Shit. I kind of want to put that at the beginning. We're running out of channels here, and we really haven't done anything more than make a beat. I was kind of hoping to make more of a song. What am I doing? Spacing out. Okay, this is cool. This is a good opportunity to show off another thing this can do. So, like I said, you only have like 4 measures that you can make each pattern in terms of like full length. But the Digitakt has something called conditional triggers, which I think I had a video about before. It's like one of the only Digitakt tutorial videos I did. But basically, on every single trigger, which is what which is what Elektron calls every single note that you put down. Like it calls like everything I'm doing right here. That's a trigger. So you can tell this note to play like any number of ways. You can tell it to play 50% of the time. You can give it a chance of playing 25% of the time. You can tell it to play only when you hold down the fill button. You can tell it to play not when you push down on the fill button. And then there are these like 1, 4, 2, 4 like things where like you basically tell it, I want you to play only on the beginning of like every 4 measures or every 8 measures or something like that. So what I want for this big noise thing, I only want it to play at the beginning of 2 repeats of this thing. So let's see. I don't know if this is it or not. It is an awkward camera angle. Sorry, dude. Okay, cool. So I just stopped that big white noise thing from hitting every single time the pattern repeats, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah, what else can we do? What else can we do? Really bad. Jesus. Okay, cool. That's great. One of the things that makes this playable is the fill condition, which if you mash down the page button and you have things assigned to the fill trigger, then they'll only play when you mash that down. So you can create playable fills, which is really cool. And this thing is desperate for like a big snare fill at the end that I want to be able to control. So I'm going to go back into step sequencer mode and go to the last of the phrase and put a bunch of snare hits in. Like something like I don't know. I'm trying to think of it through my head. Yeah, something like that. So I'm gonna hold these down and go into my trig and make it fill. So now all these are assigned to the fill condition. So let's see. Well, I mean, it's there. It's not quite what I wanted, though. So let's see. Okay, so actually, I'm going to turn my main backbeat snare to not play on the fill, which will give us a little bit more variation. So. What am I missing here? I feel like I'm like missing something about the timing for this because I'm got too many steps. Let's see. All right, whatever. I'm kind of tired of this pattern. So what should we do next? What do you guys want to do next on the thing? Like, what's another genre that we could do? Or like, what's another feature of it that you want to know about? Anything? Anything? Some type of way you're actually correct. Yes. Does it have undo? It does for some things. So there's a bunch of complex like combinations of things to copy, like pretty much copy and paste almost everything here, like from the sound to the trigger to the pattern to the track, all of that. And while doing that, if you do it wrong and then basically have everything still held down and do the same command again, it will undo what you just did. Yeah, so that's fucking fantastic. 80s outrun style music. I mean, that's kind of what we were trying to do. I don't know. I'm just going to mess around a little bit because I feel like, I don't know. I'm going to go back to my single cycle waveform project and mess around with that. Because that was the whole point here. Does it do side chaining? I mean, no, not really. Side chaining would be a cool thing internally. I really love that about the circuit. Excuse me, I'm burping all over the place. I really love that about the Novation circuit, that it had a built-in sidechain. I think track 1 on the circuit in the drums would be the sidechain for your synths if you wanted. And that was really, really cool. I like that quite a bit. Okay. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to mess around for a little bit. I'll keep an eye on the chat, though. I want to make something chill, I think. Another thing I really wish that the Digitakt had would be an arpeggiator. That's something I feel like is kind of missing. So that I could just like hold down some stuff and have it go. Arpeggiators are magic. I love arpeggiators. Yeah, you could do the LFO for sidechain, but I don't know if I'd really want to waste an LFO on volume. I mean, like sidechain is really like you want everything to kick off that sidechain, and you'd basically be wasting your single LFO across the entire thing, like for just like a sidechain effect. I don't know if that's really what I would want to do. has it got MIDI input? Yeah, it does. You can hook MIDI in, and you can play on a keyboard if you want to. I don't have that set up right now, so I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to get my reverb dialed in. You can use MIDI track 9 through 16 to sequence the volume. Oh, I haven't tried that. I haven't really gotten to a lot of the advanced things. I'm always surprised when I go to like the OP1, like Operator One website, which is like a big forum for the OP1, operator1.com, or the Electronauts forum, like the tricks that people are doing with these devices that I'm just like, I did not know you could do that. There's so much to learn out there. I'll have to try that that volume trick. That's actually pretty cool. Gabriel, you're asking the real questions here. Well, I always find like when I'm starting to build a track, if you kind of want something to like catch your ear and like inspire you, but if you make it too busy, then you're like stuck listening to it for like the whole time as you're building out all the other patterns, and that's not really that fun. So sometimes starting off simple is a good idea. Starting off mellow is a good idea. I like that. That's nice. Except I forgot how I played it. There we go. Oh, that's a 2-bar phrase, and I don't have my shit set to 2 bars, so I better fix that. Go ahead and undo everything we did. Go over to my page, set it to 2 bars, and we'll try that again. That clickety-click is the metronome, because I can't know what I'm playing tempo-wise if I don't have a metronome. We'll turn it off in a little bit. Don't worry. Don't worry. Do I play the piano? Yeah, I play the piano a little bit. I was really lucky as a kid that my mom and dad had an old upright in the house, and I just started messing around with it a whole bunch and kind of taught myself as much as I could, just playing around with CDs, listening to other people's music and playing. It was really, really fun. Okay, cool. That's nice. So let's do a counter melody to that. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna need another single cycle waveform, something chill. I don't like that one. I'll turn this down as I go through this. The trick is finding something that's mellow, that also has some, excuse me, upper harmonics, so that when you sweep the filter around, you have something to play with. This is the best part about music production, by the way, just scrolling through presets. It's the best part. All right, that's pretty good. So we're gonna give it a similar treatment to what we did before. you sure the video's upside down? Maybe you're upside down. What do you think about that? I'm just playing the same melody and rhythm over again. It's not very good. Alright, so I'm going to make the pattern 64 steps. So now we got that 4 measure thing. And we're going to make this phrase longer than the other one to give it some variation. Okay, cool. So let's turn up the filter on the other one. Oh, okay, so actually this is, to make this more interesting, I'm going to use the LFO that we talked about earlier, and I'm going to assign it to the filter cutoff frequency, which is what 90% of making electronic music is playing with. It's the low pass filter or the high pass filter playing off with the frequency that opens up and closes the filter. And we're going to give it just a tiny bit and slow it way down so that it just kind of slowly modulates over time. So it's a little bit more interesting. I'll probably do the same thing with the other one. And then finally, let's go ahead and pan these a little bit left and right. Make them a little bit more distinct with each other. Bye, Zim. Thanks for coming by. It's getting really dark in here. And so if the video quality starts to degrade, let me know. Do you think that after a specific age you can't master the piano? I don't know. I think it's really hard to learn. It's hard to find time to learn things as an adult. But I think it is possible if you're dedicated. It's just hard. I have so much. It's so hard to find time to do things. Like, I was actually nervous when I got the Digitakt because I'm like, I have to like spend time to learn a new thing. And I was so familiar with all my other gear that I just didn't, at first I wasn't really stoked on it, but you know, I made it a game and filmed it and put it on YouTube, you know, so it was real. It was worth it. You're playing along badly on your OP1. Nice. That's awesome. Happy holidays to you too, TC. That's awesome that you have a shirt. I'm really happy that people liked those. I was never thought about a year ago that I'd be like making t-shirts for people. That's weird. No problem, Mallory. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going for sort of like a mid-90s ambient thing here, sort of in the vein of a German composer or German electronic guy called Aerovane. And what I want to do now is with this bass line, which I kind of like. I mean, it's cool. Actually, I think it needs... Wish I had a little bit more bite. That's kind of cool. There we go. Beautiful. Let's see. I'm going to play a bunch of stuff, and then I'm going to use the conditional triggers to randomize when the Digitakt is going to play those back based on like its probability. So we're going to get a constantly shifting bass line that's going to hopefully make it a little bit more interesting. Like, I'm really a big fan of generative music when possible, like sort of letting things happen on their own and the melodies that are created from that. So this is about as close as I can get with the Digitakt, which is pretty neat. So I'm going to practice a little bit more, and then we'll record something. Okay, cool. So that's done. Let me get out of this menu here. All right. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping some of my strong beats down. Like, so I'm not like making some of my strong bass parts like on the beat disappearing with the conditional triggers. So like for instance, the downbeat here, I want to keep that always playing. But the rest of these, I'm going to put up like at like 70% chance of hitting all of them, every single hit, except for that first one. So there's a 70% chance that every single one of these steps will hit, and that will make it a little bit more interesting. Maybe it might make it really skeletal. It might like make them not play enough, but we'll see. We can always change that later. And I can always add more trigs, more notes if I want to. I'm sorry the Digitakt screen is so blurry. I have a really bad webcam. A couple notes here and there to fill things out. People wonder why I edit my OP1 videos that I did. Like, they're like, why don't you just upload the whole thing? And the reason is because it's usually listening to the same pattern over and over and over again, making tiny changes that like no one can hear except for the person working on it. Electronic music is pretty silly to make, honestly. Okay, I like what this is doing. I want to experiment with something real quick. And that is... I want to... Yeah. So I just assigned the LFO to the filter frequency, and I'm loving the way that sounds. Listen to this thing. This entire live stream was worth it just for that fucking sound. All right, we got the tempo, so we're gonna turn the metronome off. Use the conditional triggers. We are. Do I use the Digitakt for live performance? I don't do live performance, so no. I mean, I did the videos, like the Digitakt performance videos that I upload to YouTube, so I guess does that count? Does that count? I don't know. Water. Andrew Huang and I already have collaborated because he told everyone it was important to stay hydrated, and I believed that to be true as well. So Andrew Huang and I collaborated on staying hydrated, which is pretty dope. All right, so maybe we should add some drums. I don't know. Let's try to like put all of our drums on one track. What genre sound am I going for? I don't know. I mean, I never know. I kind of like mid-90s IDM, I guess. I don't know, man. Kind of just messing around with it as we go. You find that most of the stuff that I do is like that. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of like straight genres that I go for. So I'm going to go into the samples here and pick some samples from... let's see what is in the factory content. There's a ton of drum kits here. It's a little too nartsy. Ooh, that's a nice clap. This kit's not bad. So let's remember the Velvet kit, because that's good. Spice it up with some cello. I really like that. I'm going to load this kit because I love this right here. Oh, wait, no. Where is it? That's in the key of our song. And I like that little kick drum. Excuse me, that little snare drum. Don't pay attention to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. So we're going to select all these samples and we're going to load the project and confirm. And the way that the Digitakt does that is that now they should all be loaded in the next remaining sample slots that I had on the thing. And indeed they are. Thank you, Robin. Thank you very much. Digitakt Elektron are bringing out drivers in February 2018 to use the Digitakt as a 2-in, 2-out sound card. Oh, that's cool. I know that part of Overbridge is that... I didn't know they were going to do a sound card thing with it. I knew that you'd be able to stream all of the 8 channels of samples in here via USB to your DAW. So like, there's only 2 outs and 2 ins on this thing, a stereo in and out. So if you wanted to get all of these different tracks into your DAW on their own so you could mess with them more right now, you'd have to record them each individually, one after the other. But with Overbridge, when it comes out, and it's free now, they're making it free, which is dope. So you'll be able to digitally sample all of your 8 tracks at once, which is really, really cool. What are my opinions on Melons? Pretty good. Are all the samples preloaded? It comes with a bunch of factory content, a ton of it, and it's good. And then you can load a ton of your own samples onto it too. So I know better Overbridge is coming out, but I'll be able to just use it as an interface. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't do that necessarily. I wouldn't use the Digitakt as an interface, but maybe it will be cool. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I don't know about that. So we're going to try to record some drums now. What am I doing? I'm spacing out here. You're wondering because you have a Digitakt but you don't have an interface. Well, interfaces are pretty cheap. I would recommend getting an audio interface. I mean, sorry, by the way, I know the camera keeps on doing that autofocus thing. It's probably pretty annoying to you guys, but I would recommend getting like at least a 2-in, 2-out interface. The Focusrite Scarletts are pretty cheap. I know M Audio makes a ton too. You don't need anything crazy. Just something to get your Digitakt into your computer, or microphone input as well. That's super useful. So once you've chosen a sample for a track and you've recorded it, if you want to put another sample on that same track, which I like to do quite a bit, you can't just play it in. You have to hold down the steps or the triggers that you want to put it on, and then hit the source button and move the little selector here to pick the sample that you want. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to go put this snare drum on the 2 and the 4 because I'm basic like that, and maybe we'll move it around if we want later. Will this be posted on YouTube once the stream ends? Yeah, sure. It does not send audio over USB right now. When it came out, Elektron was talking about doing overbridge for it. And it was going to be out before the end of 2018. But then all of the other Mark IIs of their products came out, the Octatrack and the Rhythm, and did they do an analog? No. They did a Rhythm Mark II and an Octatrack Mark II. And I think they got a little like waylaid by the development for that. And I think that, it just kind of got delayed. So it got so delayed that they made an announcement recently that it was going to be free as opposed to Overbridge Premium costing money, which was kind of a point of contention for a lot of people when it first came out. But it's going to be delayed. So, bitter little column A, little column B in terms of being good. All right, let's see. I have not done these live streams before. Yeah, they pushed it to February. You are correct. Tech is actually a really good, that's a really good comparison, actually. I'm okay with that. I fucking love Blue Tech. So with this little clave we got here, let's do some rolls with it. So there's like a roll thing you can do with these, where if you hold down the trig that you selected here and you push the little up button, you'll get some rolls. So I'm just going to put it on the first couple so you can hear what it sounds like, and then I'll start putting them in where I want. So hear that? I basically just added sub triggers to my trigger. And you can select different time divisions if you want. I kind of like that 24, that double triplet kind of thing. And then you can turn down the velocity of it if you want, so it fades. So yeah, good stuff. Let's mess with that a little bit. I'm gonna turn these off. thank you. I'm really happy that you're liking the live stream. I was honestly a little nervous about doing this, but it's turning out to be pretty chill. I haven't really felt like making like real videos for the last couple weeks, so this might be a nice stopgap for that, you know. So let's see real quick. I want to turn the velocity of some of these down because they're a little like loud. I like my little rolls to be quieter. If there's going to be a roll, I want it to be quieter. Every parameter in the Digitakt that you see on the screen can be locked to each step. So what I was just doing there was going through and locking a different volume for those triggers, for those steps, so that it was a little bit quieter. And I could lock things like pan, I could lock the reverb send if I wanted to, which is pretty cool. I can even lock what the LFO is doing. So every single step could have its own LFO setting, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. Continue to do live streams? I don't know. So, I inadvertently just did something the Digitakt can also do. If you hold down track, and I just saved the pattern so I can show this off a little bit. If you hold down track and play with any of the parameters here, it will affect every single sample that's playing. And you can do some really interesting performance things with it, but I always recommend saving your pattern. And I'm actually going to save the whole project because, I don't know, got something good here. I friggin' love those claves too. I'm a big fan of claves. Okay, we saved. So function and yes, we'll save a pattern to a temp area. And function and no will reload that pattern from the temp area. So theoretically, while you're performing or doing what we're doing right here, you can save the pattern and then reload it immediately. And we're going to want to do that because I'm going to show you what the control all feature does. So I'm going to hold down track and start playing with the parameters over here, starting with, I don't know, the filter. So I've just turned on the filter on everything. And now I could turn up the envelope of the filter if I wanted to. And I can reload the pattern. It's fun. It's good stuff. Good for performance. I would imagine it'd be really, really cool for MIDI stuff. Okay. I want that snare to be a little bit louder because it's not quite kicking enough for me. And there's a couple ways I can do that. There's an overdrive command, which is nice. Let's see if that... No, it's not enough. More overdrive. It's a little too much. Okay, cool. So instead of like going to the next page and trying to figure out where I just put that overdrive command or that overdrive lock, I'm going to copy that trig, move over here and paste it and paste it, paste it, paste it, paste it, paste it. Come on, paste it. I like to paste it, paste it. What was your comment, Fox Scanning? Sorry, I've been looking at the Digitakt while I've been working. What's going on? Yeah, paste is pretty good, actually. I like paste too. So one of the other things I found out about the single cycle waveforms, and let's see, man, burping up a storm. Professional live streamer here. Okay, so remember that sample, setting the sample thing, setting the LFO to change the sample itself. That was pretty cool when we were using... God, man, I can't talk. That was pretty cool when we were using it looped, but for this like small IDM-y stuff, I actually really like it when you just use the non-looped single cycle waveform with the LFO on it. So I'm going to record a rhythm with this, actually in this mode, and then I'm going to set the LFO to cycle the actual sample that it's triggering and then mess with the envelope a little bit, and we'll get this cool kind of clicky randomized thing, which is really nice for this kind of music. Oh shit. I just changed my clave sample. I didn't mean to do that. Bring my clave back. There we go. Poor clave. Let's try this channel. There we go. Alright, this is going to sound like a bunch of farts, but don't worry. Okay, the question that is apparently very urgent is about the what can you do with the Base Station 2 video and what did I use in it? Is that prefix called mobile phone interference? Yes, it is. With that Base Station video, I said I was pretty clear in the description of the video what I did and what I did not. All of the synth sounds did come from the Base Station 2, and then when I got them into Ableton Live, I processed them. So I added like a lot of distortion and saturation, compression, a ton of reverb, a sidechain, delay, stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, all the sounds definitely did come from the Base Station 2 with the exception of the drums, but I processed the heck out of it. I mean, no shame there in admitting that, honestly. That's nice. Whoops, switch to a completely different pattern. Sorry, guys. All right, I'm getting a little too much random on that sample flip thing, so I'm going to turn the depth down. And choose a sample that's a little bit more in the middle of all my single cycle waveforms. So there we go. How long does it take me to finish a project? Really depends on the project. I mean, the base station videos, it took me like a weekend to do because it was pretty simple and I was pretty directed and I just kind of jammed on everything. I didn't really think about it that much. I just played. But things like Sing Me to Sleep or the album that just came out, you know, that was like a few months to a year, just random things. I was going to ask if there was a tiny sequencer on the Digitakt. The Digitakt is pretty much nothing but a sequencer. Like Elektron, the company that makes this, is really well known for being very, very cool with sequencers. Okay, so we've got a thing going on here. And I have, let's see. I have 2 more channels, so let's see what else we can do with this. Can you record on top of a sequence more than 64 steps? No, but you can use conditional triggers to create the idea that the phrase that you're hearing is much longer than 64 steps because you can set certain steps to only play like every once in a while. I wonder if I can show that off in a kind of meaningful way. Let's see. One of the ways I was using it before was like basically setting like pads to change chords with a conditional trigger. So we elongated our implied like phrase length, melodic phrase length. But I'm losing my mind here trying to figure out like what track I'm working on. Let's see. We're on 7. Okay. So let me go in and load maybe some pads from my sample library that I have in here. I have a bunch of like chord hits because I like those. Let's see. Digitakt versus OP1, are they similar? I would say they are absolutely not at all. The OP1 is a multi-synthesizer, sampler, 4-track tape recording, multi-effect weird thing with no real MIDI capabilities properly. I mean, you could argue that it has MIDI capabilities, but it really likes to be a standalone device. And the Digitakt is a very lean, sequencer-focused drum machine that you happen to be able to use to make melodic sounds with because it's a sampler and it has sort of like synth things you can do to the sounds themselves. I'm not feeling any of this shit. Let's see. There we go. Let's use some of this. Can you make a song inspired by Octocat? All my songs are inspired by Octocat. So you do have basic sample editing capabilities in this. And you can see the waveform kind of right there as I play it. I want this to start a little bit into that swell, so when I hit this, I'm not dealing with that... Oh, shit. I'm not dealing with that volume swell. I just want it to start later. Because I can always use the envelope if I really wanted to do that. Is the camera upside down? I mean, I don't know. The camera's where it is. Okay, anyways. So we might need to load a couple different string samples in here. So we've got a C. And what else can we load? C minor chord and a, let's see, going down where there's an empty sample slot. C minor and that might be interesting. A D major chord. Let's see. Oops. Hey, no, that's not good at all. All right, live and learn. I'm not going to get too crazy with this. So let's go back to this track. Okay. I do that all the time. I reach for a note I think it's going to work. And it doesn't work. It's okay. We can adjust that here. Thrilled with that, honestly, but let's put a filter sweep on it. Okay, so on track 8, I just recorded like a single trig of that the G major chord, I think. And I don't want to waste track 8 for I don't want to waste the entirety of track 8 just for like a single note. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that trig right here, and I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to go back to track 7. And because of the way that the Digitakt allows you to copy and paste trigs with all of their information on it, I can paste that there, and theoretically, no, that didn't work at all. Never mind. I thought what was going to happen was it was going to paste all the information about the sample and all that shit, but it did not, so. get situated. We're going to wrap this up in a little bit here. I just want to like fill out the last track and then we can call it a day. But I got to get this trig situated because it's driving me crazy. Okay. How many patterns are we up to? We've really only done 2 patterns. I am not Canadian. I'm not Canadian. Why the hell does this thing keep on resetting? Digitact's being weird on me, sorry. Oh. I've been messing with the wrong trig, everybody. That's why. That's why. It's my fault, not the machine. What a surprise. All right, so I only want this thing to play like once at the end of a repeat. So I'm gonna go 2-2 for the conditional trig, I guess. If I'm not Canadian, what am I? I live in Seattle, Washington. I'm an American. What kind of musician would I recommend the Elektron Digitakt? Well, if you just want to look at it as a drum machine, like literally if you were like, oh, I need rhythm accompaniment with maybe a few tonal elements here and there to play along like synths or something like that, this would be amazing. If you want something that can do drums and also sequence 8 MIDI instruments with it, then it could be the hub of your like MIDI studio if you wanted to. As a standalone unit, I find that I end up making stuff that sounds like this quite a bit. So like techie kind of housey, IDM-y kind of stuff. Hi, Adam Machine. How's it going? That's just me though. I really haven't gotten a chance to use this as like a lo-fi hip-hop machine, and I really want to. I'm kind of like holding my breath for Overbridge to come out so I can back up all of my settings and samples on here before I blow things away. And that's pretty soon. It's like 2 months from now. So I think there's different ways to use the Digitakt, and what you hear is one of the ways that I've been using it quite a bit, but it's a sampler, right? So whatever you put into it is going to sound completely different. I could put in samples from vinyl. I could put in samples from field recordings. I could make ambient. I could make hip hop. I could make house. Like there's a ton of stuff that you can do. And then with 8 MIDI channels here, you can again sequence a bunch of MIDI gear. So who is it best suited for? I guess it's best suited for someone who like is interested possibly in the Elektron workflow, which includes a very unique a unique sequencer with the conditional trig things and stuff like that, and maybe has some MIDI gear to sequence as well. Yes, they are called G strings. Very, very, very cool. G strings. Haha. Okay. Anyways, I got one more track. I'm going to put something in this, I guess, and then we're gonna call it a night, because I gotta do some chores. is it with bouncing tracks? You can't bounce internally with this. If in terms of bouncing tracks to the DAW, you would have to record each track individually in real time right now through the stereo out. When Overbridge comes out, you'll be able to record all of the tracks digitally through USB. So that's it. Bye, Tyler, if you're leaving. Thank you for stopping by. Does it cut off delay reverb tails? You mean in terms of pattern switching? I don't know. I haven't tried that. Yeah, 4wex says, I got a Digitakt and don't have any other studio gear, having lots of fun programming generative random stuff into not many steps with conditional trigs, and that is absolutely the truth. Conditional trigs are just like magic. When you have like a 16-step pattern, like one bar, and it's just constantly evolving because you've set up all these conditional triggers, it's really, really, really cool. I like it quite a bit. Explain what conditional trigs do? I can. I made a video about it. I kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but basically you can tell every single step, every note that you've put in here. Each note, it's considered a trigger. So like once you've gotten something put down as a trigger, you can go into your trig mode here, and there's a little thing right here that says condition. And I wish you could see it better, but basically, you have the option of telling that trigger, that note that you've put down, to play anywhere from 1 to 99% of the time. You can tell it to only play on a fill, which you get on the Digitakt by holding down the page button. You can tell it to play like only when its nearest neighbor note is being played, which is kind of complicated. I don't really want to try to explain it because I don't understand it yet. Or you could tell it to play in certain divisions or multiplications of the phrase that you've created. So like only at the beginning of 3 repeats of the entire bar, or at the end of 4 repeats or something like that. So yeah, you set a condition for the trigger to play. And that means that while it's just, you can create random variations of your own pattern just by telling it to do that. So it's pretty neat. So I can go do my chores and stuff. Are you guys okay with that? Oh, hi Flynn. How's it going? It is an organized random. Hey, thanks for coming, everybody. I really, really enjoyed this inaugural live stream. It's been fun. Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll do it again sometime. Maybe with the OP1 or something, since I answered a ton of questions about the Digitakts. Do this shit again? We will. We will. Thank you so much for coming. I'll try to do one of these again soon. All right? I'm gonna stop it now. I'm gonna stop it. Love y'all. Bye.